You are watching Xirtus.
In the Christmas song about the uh, 12 days of Christmas, they talk about, or no, the drummer boy, it talks about how the lamb and the bull keep time, or the ox keep time, right? And so your two Saturn characters, where Saturn rules the zodiac, is in Capricorn and Aquarius, right? And they're conceived 9 months earlier in Aries and Taurus. And so when you put them together, you put Aries and Taurus together, you get this symbol, which is a Saturn symbol, right? So the reason behind that is because Saturn is the timekeeper, and this is what um, Aditya was trying to create, right?
Wow.
She was
Wow.
she was trying to create time. You can't create time without having
Con-
divisions,
and
without slice.
space conjunction.
Yes, you have to slice things up. And so she knew she had to make her daughter first, which was Aries, and then her daughter had to split, basically like twin herself in a way, and make a masculine form. And this is why her name is Mary, is because it's Mars, a masculine warlike character, right, that wants to divide things or cause conflict, and then there's interaction, and then splits, and then makes another character, and this is where the Y comes out of it, right? And that's another Venus aspect. And so you have Taurus and Aries, which are basically the two lobes of the brain, or two lobes of the head, or it depends on the system that you're talking about and who's talking about it, but it's basically the head and the mouth, or whatever. It's the head type area split. And so you're getting a feminine and masculine energy, but out of like an Aphrodite character. And this is where you get April and all that stuff, right? So this is why you have a very weird hermaphroditic character in Aries and Taurus.
I'll say.
Yeah, you're getting this feminine and masculine characteristics out of it, and then they're the ones that produce time because of that schism, right? Because of that break, and because of that division, and then it starts cutting things up, and then you get this character that puts things into chronological order, and so that it's easier to scale time and to record it, and break it down because it has segments. And so that's what I feel like, the people that wrote the drummer boy and all that stuff, because a drum beat breaks up the music, right, into beats. It breaks it all up. So this is why Jesus was, as a baby, nodding at the drummer boy in like favor of him, like, yeah, yeah, see, you're breaking it up. You're doing it. You're doing what we need. We need it broken up. That way we can break down those pieces and really figure it out. That's how we even have existence itself, right? So this is just showing that they embed it into the symbology. And you can see it in everything. Like all these symbols are broken pieces, right? They're all dualistic in a way. You can split it here. This is a circle with a U, right? Half of it broken from the circle. This is a Gemini, which is broken in half, 69, right? They're all opposing kind of things because that is what this existence is, right? It's broken up into all these opposing things that need to be that, so that this
These are
can,
crossroads.
yeah, it's a combustible engine too, right? So you go fire, earth, air, water, right? These are all things that a combustible engine has to go through to
True.
create cycles that make the locomotive go down the road, right? Make it locomotive, right? So let's see.
That's interesting. I mean, it seems so obvious too, because you look at it and you're like, well, clearly this is a symbol that's combining multiple concepts, maybe two concepts at least. It looks like almost every single one of the zodiac symbols looks like a combination of two concepts at least, right? just about. So it seems so clear. Even as a kid, you should be like, okay, well, this is two concepts. I don't know exactly what they combine to mean, but there it is, and it makes the most sense. I mean, that's really interesting.
Yeah, to cause movement, that you have to do this. Like, I mean, you can get it into depth on each one. Like, okay, they were showing that this is the end and the beginning in a way, because it's facing each other. It almost looks like two arrows hitting each other, right? We can go on long tangents on each one. Like, people do whole shows on each one of these signs when these signs come in, right? As an astrologer, or people that are into symbology, into tarot symbology, astrological symbology, they go into all this stuff. So I don't want to do that. I mean, we can go in further if there's people that have questions that are like,
yeah, we'll go that late. We do it later. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, it's better just to do kind of, a washover, just, an overview.
But basically, what you showed Aries and Taurus making Capricorn is kind of what I saw there,
and Aquarius,
and Aquarius,
yeah, they make Saturn, so that's 9 months later, right? So they're the mothers, in a way of speaking, in the zodiac terms. That's the two mothers of, or mother and father, depending on how you want, because it's just a feminine, masculine attributes that you can assign to them, because it's not really a living being. It's just a concept, right? It's just symbolic. But that's the conception date of how you become Capricorn and Aquarius, is that you're conceived in Aries or Taurus, right? So if you're conceived in Aries, you're a Capricorn, and this is why Mary is the mother of Jesus, because she's basically representing an Aries, and a lot of times she's shown with red hair, like all the things that you would associate with Mars, right? Is this Mary character, and that's why it's the mother of Jesus, which is born in Capricorn, right? This is the reason why those things are. I know people try to argue all kinds of, like, Jesus was really born this time and this time. No, the reason they do it like that is because they're just showing the symbology of these characters, that this energy was needed, and 9 months later you get this energy, right? And then the same thing with Taurus, is that you're going to get an Aquarius energy. It's in a different form, and it'd be considered more masculine, but also it has an air element, even though people think aqua and it's water. The reason that is associated, there's many pieces to the puzzle of why it is that things are shown the way that they are, and it's because the winter months are always going to be water associated altogether.
Right.
And so that's, like I said, there's a lot of things you can just keep diving down, and we can get into all the details of why it was associated like it is.
We'll have to do an entire episode on Charles Taze Russell first, I feel.
Yeah.
but then we should, like, again, I think, like, but I do think an outline right now, just to give people a vibe. This is an important idea, that the weather that you're experiencing in your environment is so much more important than the position of the stars were 10,000 years ago. But we can use that Witch's Farmer's Almanac information to figure out a lot about what's going on in our weather and why it's connected to these things. And they definitely are using them to encode the history of pretty important figures, right? Like, that seems pretty obvious.
And they were only, there's a difference which people need to understand. There's a difference between your zodiac and the constellation that has the same name, right? So they named constellations after the zodiacs, but the zodiac is always going to be the same, and it's always going to change over time, right? And that's always going to be connected into your seasons. So just because the constellation is still there and that moved away doesn't mean anything has changed and that you have to follow that constellation. That was just a backdrop. It was a third layer that was needed to see every time, to just start calculating things, start writing them down, like, okay, over and over again, when that backdrop is there, because it will be there for a very long time, that gave humanity, at least for the history that we've known in the past so many thousand years, that we still have documentation, that they could use that for a long period of time. And then it started slipping away, and they knew it was slipping away, but it was fine. They were just calculating things, you know, and just like anything else, right? The church and all that has destroyed us looking into those things. And so at a certain point, we lost that understanding that that was going to slip away and it had nothing to do with it, but it's still there. The information has always been kept pretty pure, but what they've done is they distract us away from seeing it correctly, and then they give us other information or tell us not to look at all.